And this is Big Cheds coming to you live here on a Monday, April 8th, 2019. I want to thank you all for joining me here on a wonderful evening. And are you there, my friend, Big Chonis?
Hey, Cheds, how's it going tonight?
It's going pretty good, man. It's going pretty good. I love that music. It always gets me fired up for a show. I know a lot of people have said that as well. So I'm really happy to have you here tonight. I want to remind everyone you can find me on Twitter. I am at Big Cheds, and you can find me on YouTube, of course, at Cheds Trading. This is my good friend Big Chonis. He is on Twitter at Big Chonis, and of course, you can find him on YouTube at Chonis Trading. You have a little bit of a mentoring program. Is there anything you want to say about that, Big Chonis?
Yeah, Cheds, I'm signing up new students now for my online mentoring. Basically, if you're a newer subscriber or a newer, trader or new to crypto in general, you want to get just a basic, or a little more advanced TA background, and especially how to properly use TradingView, to your benefit. I'd love to talk to you. Please feel free to reach out to me on DM or email me at bigchonis.com or gmail.com, or check out chonistrading.com with some more information.
Awesome. Appreciate that. And of course, I'm a founding analyst at Bitcoin Live, the best-in-class educational platform for crypto, where our good friend Big Chonis is also a featured contributor. I love the work he does there. And, I just want to remind everyone, of course, we're not advisors. We're just a couple of friends who like to talk crypto. We argue a lot. We come at it from different angles. And I think people appreciate the fact that we don't have an agenda, right? We're just... we've been talking crypto forever, and we always thought, hey, maybe people would be interested in this because it's just we know each other so well. And it's like, I want to strangle you sometimes. And I know you feel the same way. So
I think our agenda, and we can agree on this, is advancing the excitement we have for crypto, blockchain technology, and just the amazing opportunities that I think we feel that it both offers. And that's why I'm excited to, check out some charts with you and see what kind of a debate we can create about what we're seeing on the price action of Bitcoin.
So what do you want? I mean, should I just kind of jump in and give some overview, or do you have anything you want to go right at, or how do you want to get started here?
Well, you got your 12-hour up, it looks like. So what are your thoughts on kind of where we're holding our supports here? I know you're a big fan of the EMA 8 there, and we can clearly see that's been holding for quite some time, riding a little bit under the lower Bollinger. I think what's just seeing your chart now, two things that stick out to me is that since that initial giant 12-hour candle that we had, we've had this closing candle drift up for over a week now, it seems, and we're still only maybe $100 or so above where we were a week ago, even with all the money flow and all the momentum we've had in the market here. So you fast forward a week from our breakout and from a horizontal support and a horizontal resistance, we're still within a couple $100 range there. What's also kind of just off the top there is just we have lost our bullish volume over these days here, right, as we've been drifting higher. Now, I'm not saying this is low volume, because if you compare it to the pre-breakout volume, it's actually, you can see it's much higher than what we were experiencing in the end of March there. So that is notable, even though comparing to the breakout candles, we are definitely declining in that bullish volume as we rise higher there. But for now, because we've been able to close several days in a row, and we're about, an hour away from this closing candle, being able to hold that psychological 5,000 support has been very important.
You made a lot of really good observations here. It's interesting. You asked, if I didn't know this was Bitcoin, and I was just looking at any chart, and like what sticks out at me, right? So I look at, obviously we have like the big initial move, right? And then we have this, the long-legged doji here, where bears rejected higher prices. This is the resistance. I mean, those are the obvious things. Those are kind of the candles which are most important. You pointed out, look at that space between here and the upper Bollinger. That looks like a little bit of value right before you're overbought.
Yeah, I mean, we've tested that area. It was like 53.50 there. If you can zoom in on just the chart there and not the indicators for just a second, because that can really show us where we're looking at in terms of that resistance there, just a little closer.
56, what, in the upper BB?
There we go. So no, that day, that long like a candle resistance, where did that top off there at the horizontal resistance?
Okay, what is that? 53.45.
Okay, so we've set a local top, and then ever since then, which seems like it was days ago, we've been basically trying to get back to that point there. And I think what's going to be interesting is, let's say we are able to get back there. Is this a double topping area? We basically tested it once earlier in the day, and we're still ranging in that area. And because our test of it only produced, just about $100 sell-off that got quickly bought back up. There's still, in my mind, very little rejection so far of this 53. And the longer we can hold in this area, the better chance the bulls probably have to break through it.
So there's a couple things to look at when you could look at the volume on the sell-off candles, and it hasn't really been, substantial. And it's just a series of spinning tops, these small real candle bodies. And you have essentially, I mean, there's a couple ways to look at it. You have, as you pointed out, you have a set area of supply where people are willing to sell it. You have, set resistance, and you have like a rising demand. So that's, I mean, it's kind of classic bullish continuation. That's just based on the candles. We looked at the volume trend. You kind of pointed out, looks like maybe we're close to this trend playing itself out. So 8 EMA, absolutely. We're watching the 8 EMA for a clue. But what's interesting, and one of the biggest things I talked about, so this candle, we talked about this doji, is look at this. We're like, look at this nice reset. We're like mid-channel here, and you're like, you've all your price gains have been secured. So it's like oscillators reset, topped off OBV. It's like this is a classic setup for a new leg.
Well, you have 4 indicators there, and 3 of them are all heading down, and one of them is heading up, and that's the OBV. And that has been the most accurate, I feel, in determining on these pullbacks. You're not seeing the kind of dump OBV we've seen in prior times when it's a really clear exit of a large position. We're not seeing that yet. We're seeing these little dips, and there have been little dips, $100 here, $100 there, continue to get bought up, and we're seeing that strength continue in the OBV. And it's hard to go bearish on this with the OBV as strong as it currently remains. We're seeing the slightest of bearish divergences in these higher time frames, a little bit of a low RSI with almost a higher price, that higher time frame stochastic beginning to continue to angle down there. But until your short-term moving averages break,
right, MA20, look, MA20, right, and you got, look, response. You have a bull response to the Bollinger Pinch, right? You're kind of hugging EMA, EMA 8, MA20 support, bull response, to this Bollinger Pinch. You still got the EMA 34, but the OBV, it's just continuing to be accumulated. I mean, anything could be a fake out, but you have to give bulls the edge.
Yeah, I mean, until prove otherwise. Now, here's the thing. We agree on this, that there'll be a pullback at some point. We really can't say. I think what will be interesting, Cheds, if we start to look at, where are our higher term resistances, and importantly, if we do break these key supports, right, that we've held for so long, where are some of those target re-entries we're trying to kind of keep our eye on? Because I think that's the key in terms of maybe you've already played out this bullish run and you're just waiting for a re-entry, or you want to see how far it takes. So if we agree that maybe there actually could be running room to 5,600, maybe even 5,700, the question is, are we going there before we break 5K one more time?
I mean, everyone's looking at it. I mean, there's a lot of levels. There are a few levels kind of everyone's looking at, right there at that 61, 62K, level that was held forever. If support when it's broken is mega resistance. Do you want to take us through anything before I maybe jump to Ethereum, Litecoin? Do you want to show anything? Yeah, go ahead.
Can you pull up my
let's take a look at your setup here, Big Chonis.
So I'd like to start with the 4 hour, if it pleases the court.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Thank you, Judge. So again, I want to revert back to my Bollingers here, and what I find fascinating is, we talk about trends, right? And we talk about establishing a support level, and every time it's tested, if it holds. So we talk about time frames as well. We were looking at the 12-hour, the daily. On the 4-hour here, we see middle Bollinger support, which started on this breakout on March 27th. March 27th has held closing candle support on the 4-hour consistently, even to this date. It has been broken intra-candle several times, and these have been buying opportunities along the way. We all like, oh, we're about to break down, we're about to break down. No. We keep closing above, we keep closing above. And every time we keep closing above, it brings in that additional bullish advancement. Look
at that nice little channel. I mean, what a nice little channel between the middle and the upper Bollinger.
It is. And so we see this in the 4-hour. We also see it on the 6-hour, and that shows you, wow, we're really heading up here to these higher time frames. Now, what's concerning in the sense that, we talk about how high do you want to climb the trapeze without a parachute or without a net, right? So
that's not actually a phrase. No one actually says that.
I just made it up.
Okay.
But as we have on these higher time frames here, the distance between our near-term support, middle Bollinger, on the 12-hour, on the daily, I mean, I love the bullishness of our upper Bollinger ride here, and yet we're like $1,000 below our middle Bollinger support.
Above, yeah.
So to be that far above is a consistent, almost mirror image of the bearishness we experienced when middle Bollinger here, for instance, was at $5,200 and price action was at $3,400. That's like a $1,500 gap here between middle BB and the actual price action. We give an idea about how much extremes truly are, but to be this extremely bullish this quickly and to see this jaws mouth of the Bollingers open, it just shows how bullish this is, and the spacing between what kind of a pullback could truly be happening.
I know you're a 1226 guy, right? I mean, because this is just, Bollinger Bands. What about 1226?
Well, it's a great thing because I would use the same principles on the EMA 12, EMA 26.
You don't have principles.
I got some. I had many through schools. Again, unprecedented from the sense of the bullish crosshair we had back on February 16th on the dailies has continued, and we continue to ride this bullish crosshair, and now the separation or the fanning out, right? The fanning out of our supports continues, and just like we were riding the middle BB there, riding EMA 12 on the 6-hour, not closing a candle below it, since all the way since March. Again, the same thing, March 27th. So that fan out, that spread does two things. It shows the bullishness in the market, but it also gives us a sense of the cradle of support near term we're finding, and something to watch for, just to kind of sum it up here. You get a closing candle or two that is below our stage 1 support.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you played that. Yeah, I was going to ask you.
That's the kind of thing where I would begin to think, okay, maybe there's more of a trend change here. Just as we've risen up here to $5,200, if we are going to have some sort of a pullback, if we test lower areas, I don't feel it's going to happen instantly. The kind of pullback probably takes several days to really confirm that a bottoming has occurred, and for that, lower long wicks, things like that would be things I'd be a little watching for.
So just as a quick reset, I am Big Cheds. We got a lot of new people who've shown up since I first started it off. I am Big Cheds. I'm on Twitter at Big Cheds, YouTube Cheds Trading. That was my good friend. He is at Big Chonis on Twitter, and of course on YouTube at Chonis Trading, where he's very active, and he's never wrong, unlike me, who's wrong all the time. So if we fail support, like Big Chonis, where are you looking for support? Are you with me on that Japanese candlestick theory, the middle point of that big white candle? Where are you looking at for support?
So what I'm thinking about this a couple of ways. Let's be let's just talk about this. I'm on the 6 hour here just to bring the whole pattern into play. This is November, December, January, February, March, and the beginning of April. And we can see a couple things here. We have tremendous price history now between $4,200 and $3,200 here. We have really a concentrated between 42 and 33, 34. Okay. But we have these big gaps between from 43, 44, all the way up to basically where we are now. And if we can break through where we are now from 5,200, can jettison us quickly to about 57, maybe even as high as 6K on a FOMO wick. The only reason we have stopped because where we are right now is because really this little block of history we actually paused in before we had our initial or our continuation of our decline. You break through here, and again, as we broke through here so quickly, it's an open window. It's like a free, it's like a HOV lane to get you up to these higher 5Ks, and the volume would support that.
Let me stop you. Isn't it better? I mean, but we haven't tested any of them. We don't know if any of them are support. I mean, that'd be ideal, right? Like you pass it and then you stop. It's like you re-secure it. Is when you test support. Is when you know. And
well, here's the thing. I agree with that, and I always like to do a back test to confirm what was once major resistance has now become major support. That's exactly what you try and look for. If we can break through the 53, 54s here, it would have to be with enough volume to blast us through to the open window, I would assume, because there's a fight here. There's a bullet.
But if it's open window, you don't need volume. That's the whole point. I mean, not the whole.
It's like you use all the volume to break down the wall, and then everything can, you're right, everything can flow through. So once that wall's broken, we can flow through. But to break that wall, we're going to have to see volume bars similar, I feel, to kind of our early breakout bars were, and we should get that confirmation with the volume precluding. Now, so that's the bullish scenario, that there is running room from where we are now for at least another $400, potentially $700 more on the upside. Now, the downside is where I'd look at two things. And I'm gonna let you do the candlestick thing because I just want to focus on the horizontal supports. The real breakout, of this was kind of our subsequential neckline, and we'll just call it right around $4,300 here. I think there's a bottom, and this is our pattern support. If this is to be our bottoming, our Bitcoin bottoming, our true, 4-year cycle low, the bottom is in. We're kind of do a similar, 2014, 2015 correction, but the lows are in. If you got in the low 3Ks, you scooped it up, and congratulations. For that to be the reality, we cannot break this neckline again. I can't see how we break through the 4,300s.
Give me a number. So you're telling me like a close or a lower shadow? I mean,
a close, yes, or at least having a wick that gets bought up with tremendous force.
All right, you know what I would say? Not 43. What is that last peak? I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you. At the end of February.
The last peak can go as high as 4,450.
No, that last peak at end of February. Like that's the high. See the last peak at the end of February?
Oh, this one.
No, to the right. Yeah. That's the one I feel like you don't want to lose to have a close below.
Well, we're only talking about a $50 difference there. I mean, again, this is the zone. If this is an ascending triangle, which we can now confirm, right? This whole freaking pattern was just a very elongated, kind of clunky, but still, this was an ascending triangle, and it played out. Now, the last thing I want to say about this ascending triangle is when we look at this, we want to get a measured move, right? And more or less, it's something from, I mean, it's subjective. There's
about right.
Something there, but then some say it should be in the middle. But it's something about the measured move from the largest point to the breakout. And again, that puts us exactly where we are today, Cheds.
Right.
So if this pattern completion, which it has been, and I'll just do one more thing here about this, clear inverse head and shoulder, which would also have a measured move, neckline to headline. And again, it's a very, was I missing one here? It was, something like that. Oh yeah, we actually did.
It's a feet to shoulder line. It's actually a new technique they're developing.
Feet to shoulder. Well, anyways, this is a completion of basically both these patterns and then some.
No, I mean, you don't even have to be. Look, you can just say like for any reasonable measured target based on the height of whatever pattern you had, we pretty much have hit that target.
It's true. Now, I'll just give, if you just remember for 1 more second, one more example of this kind of overall larger pattern that this could definitely be, and that's basically the Elliott wave count. And if we can agree that this initial impulsive wave which was very impulsive, I remember this thing happened very quickly. This was 9 days from 3,200 to 4,200, 9 days, $1,000, with a wave 2 retracement here down to 3,300, high or low.
Yeah.
And then this move here has the characteristics of a third wave move.
But couldn't that be 3, 4, 5 already? Couldn't there be like a short 4? Or is
no. Well, for this to be 3, we have to be longer than 1.
Yeah.
Okay. And this right now does that. Now the question is, have we finished our 3 wave, or we do have a little bit more to go? If this is that, then we know that our 4 cannot go lower than our 1, and that's where that $250, $4,300 area becomes that make or break. And if this holds, then that 5th wave can bring us something to the test, the big test, the bear market test of around that 6K, and take us into May, June, maybe even July. So this is our best case bullish scenario here, with a chance for a pullback and a chance to re-enter along at some point potentially.
So even if you don't believe in Elliott wave theory, that's basically saying after the price has made a higher high, it's going to pull back and put in a higher low, and that low is the 4 in relation to 1 support. So it's really just, it's like breaking up, come back, secure your support, move up. And so it's, it's just pretty straightforward. I mean, it's not.
It is, but we can confirm a couple rules here that if we fail to hold key area, then what this does potentially become is not this bullish move here that we hope it is, but more of a just corrective ABC move that's done with bullishly. And then we actually start this downward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the bearish scenario where we're not able to break this key area of resistance.
It really just depends if we can hold that if we test 42-ish.
Exactly. Now, let's just say a super ultra bullish scenario is we just blast up to 6K, like for some reason, right?
Yeah.
Then again, a lot of the bearishness does wane, because now we've established.
Couldn't that still be a C though if we blast a 6K?
There's an extension of A where C becomes more of a bullish move than a bearish correction. So we're basically at the point where this C is leaning towards a bullish 3 versus a bearish C, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely not, but that's okay. Absolutely no idea, but that's okay.
But regardless, I think whatever trend change happens, if this is a 4 or actually the beginning of a downward bearish trend, it's not going to happen in a candle or two. Will take a week or two probably to kind of play out, and it'll be very clear which way we're actually going. And we're going to see, altcoins have been the leader in this. You mentioned Litecoin earlier.
Well,
go ahead. Yeah, going to watch for.
Yeah, let's do that. I love your analysis, and I know you that's one of the things I like about your one-on-one mentoring is sometimes you do Elliott waves, sometimes it's TD, or kind of whatever people need.
Exactly. And a lot of this is trying to help you find your own style. So if you can get a sense of the different indicators and disciplines that are available to you, I know how to use them properly in TradingView. These are the things that I like to try and help new students with.
I love it. So let's just go do a quick touch on these majors. Look at some of these minors as well.
Sure.
So let's go with Ethereum. So Ethereum, I'm sticking on the 12-hour chart, and what's notable for me is we made a newer, higher high on Ethereum, but that turned into this gravestone doji. You could also argue that is a shooting star, but for me, it is much closer to a doji.
I can't see which candle you're pointing to.
All right, I pulled up the image. Do you see now, or? It's basically the second to last one, this red candle that just completed. Now, in theory, it's a spinning top with small real candle body, but it's essentially a doji. It's a bearish reversal candlesticks, which, and a decent amount of volume behind it. So I'm looking at this doji. It suggests, bears are rejecting higher prices. But we still have the accumulation and the OBV to show that there's still strength. You have the potential for, in theory, another leg because you have 8 EMA support holding, just like Bitcoin. Oscillators are resetting mid-channel. The stock RSI looks a little weak. here, I honestly think we're going to come back and test the 8 EMA here on Ethereum shortly, which should be right around 173. What are your thoughts?
This has been bullishly lagging Bitcoin because ETH just basically had its neckline breakout. If you zoom out just a little bit there, you can kind of see the pattern that it was able to break that higher low finally and put in that higher high from near-term resistance. So
right there,
it's kind of in the early stages of that, it looks like. And just like Bitcoin, trying to retest the high 5Ks, this does have that $200 area written on all over it. If you see that continuation of Bitcoin, and that's Bitcoin 5,400, probably can put Litecoin over $100 and Ethereum closer to $200.
But there's been plenty of variance, though, hasn't there? Because we were talking about earlier how Litecoin had the higher lows, the other ones didn't. We've seen enough. There's enough elasticity, in these 4 major coins that 3 of them can go bearish and 1 can go bullish. I mean, look right now, Bitcoin Cash is down almost 4 or 5%. Litecoin's down 3%. Ethereum's up. So there's a little bit of elasticity.
There's also the lagging. I think you saw. I mean, obviously, BCH. You call it the true Bitcoin, I think it is.
Oh yeah, I have the tattoo.
Of Roger Ver's face, right?
Yeah, next to Tron, next to Justin Sun.
Yeah. So you have BC. Yeah. So BCH was a rocket ship out of the gate there, and significantly much more bullish than ETH has been. ETH has been slowly catching up, if you will, while BCH has been chilling. But once again, BCH is, from a percentage standpoint, by far, again, the big winner. And because of the bearish, again, all these altcoins that we're seeing pop so tremendously are the ones that were the most bearish as we entered November, December timeframes. We think about Litecoin, hitting $100, which is still amazing to me, and how the low 20s was not was such a fall from its $400 top off. So it was the ones that had the most bearishness that we're actually seeing the inverse, most bullishness on this move.
Yeah, I think you're making a great point. If this is a local top, I mean, you have Litecoin leading the way, higher lows. If you watch any of my work, every video I point this out, higher lows, right? So, but this does look a little bearish here. We have a little bit of a tower top with these 4 candles. We have a tower top with these 4 candles, but it's like a light volume sell-off. So no alarm bells, upper shadows. You've essentially potentially loss of the 8 EMA here, Big Chonis.
Think about the last move that Litecoin did, where it went from $60 to $100.
Yeah.
I mean, you're on 12-hour there, so this was like 5 days of action there.
2 days.
Yeah, so we didn't establish a lot of supports.
Yes. So where is
very similar move to Bitcoin. So honestly, basically the high 60s, that 66, 65 area, that resistance plane that we kind of hung out on for a while there before the breakout. That's our support. I almost would say lower than that.
Really? I mean, I think definitely this is some support here. You have initially where price is rejected back in September. That's, what is that, 68? And that would correspond with the closing of this candle, the opening of this candle. There's a little bit of shadow, of consolidation if I go to like a 1 or 4 hour. But you think lower. You think down here.
I think because of the bullishness of that move there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, it would be lower Bollinger by then. It would be boom.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
But that's a big pullback. That's ridiculous.
Well,
that would look ridiculous, right? Can you imagine that move? It would be like, what is that, like a hat top?
I think at this point, I almost see. I think you're going to see more relation price wise to Bitcoin's price,
Yeah.
because we're in these overextended areas here. It doesn't seem that the market's prepared to know the direction unless Bitcoin steps off the bridge first. So a Bitcoin advance of money would signal the continuation in these majors. But I think I just feel that you're not going to see Litecoin particularly like sell off first. There's no reason for this to sell off yet. But Bitcoin dumping would be the reason for you to see that sell off. So again, cues now from Bitcoin, I think, would be what I'd be watching for, just because of how extended we are versus specific altcoin leading the way.
I love it. I love it. I think maybe we can start jumping over to some altcoins. Do you want to take a look on your screen, or do you want to do it on my screen?
I can do it. Let's do 3 on mine, 3 on yours.
All right. Well, let's just start on yours. And did you have any in mind, or I had a couple I thought of as well?
So I'll start with one. I just want to start with one that had a really crazy day yesterday, and one of our fans here, Basil G, reference Ethereum Classic, and this chart, Cheds, is kind of hilarious to me. This is the Coinbase chart. Now I know ETH Classic has a lot more history than just August of last year, but I want to just talk about this kind of hilarity about how we had this rocket ship candle yesterday that literally brought this price action in one day. It was like 100% move to the tip. The pullback was pretty quick here and gave up, about 40% of that move there. But just to think all this time, and then to get back to basically square one after this bleeding out we've had. Now, this move here is something that it's like, wow, this chart is very similar to Bitcoin. Here's our bottoming, here's our bounce, here's our higher low, here's our neckline breakthrough, right? And then this thing had a parabolic wick that would, if it was Bitcoin like confluence, would put it to about 8 or 9K, which is crazy. Now, obviously, Ethereum Classic, and it's a different situation, of course. But this tells you the nature of the market that we're in, that you can have a very quick momentum spike. And if you think about, if you FOMO'd into this thing, okay, and this is something that reminds me when we were younger traders and we used to FOMO into this, and we would basically, buy into something that had hundreds of percent move here. On this breakout, we're basically seeing more than a 65% pullback here. So these are the things here where you don't want to chase these wicks here, but be very conservative in your re-entries, because moves like this do have a slingshot effect where there's a good bounce opportunity for a trade.
Excellent. I appreciate that. What else do you have on mind?
So there's one. Thank you, sir. There's another one I wanted to bring up, which was that would be EOS. EOS was just added to Coinbase as a USD pairing, which is interesting. But actually, I'll do the BTC here just to make a reference of how much more bullish the divergence on this has been. Actually, I guess I should go back to the USD. Apologies. But this is an example here of upside potential, because of the fact that we are at a point in EOS where, again, the similarities to the Bitcoin chart and how this was our 6K testing before we fell there, we are back to an area that would represent that 6K area right now of Bitcoin. And because we're back there, this could be a roadmap for what happens with Bitcoin in the coming weeks to get it to that 6K range. And if it does do that, then the divergence bullishly of EOS potential is much greater. Having been at this area here at right around $5.50, and the chance to break through that can really set in some longer term bullish targets there. Again, this corresponds with the bullish continuation of Bitcoin. Otherwise, we could be establishing a precedent of very strong resistance at this key area, coinciding with a similar resistance of the Bitcoin 6K area. And very quick here, lastly here, Let's pick TRX. You mentioned Mr. Sung there. Tron.
Son, it's Son. You better get it right, son.
Is it? I don't know. Was it the USD pairing? There was yeah, there it is. We have seen this kind of pattern here, potential. Wow, it's funny. I drew this potentially weeks ago, and I think before this other shoulder is played out, but there's potential to clear inverse head and shoulder here. And if this was kind of to play to fruition with this neckline breakout, we could be looking at an area Satoshi wise, basically testing right around dollar wise, USD wise, 0.04 cents. So there's a measured move here. If this pattern can play out of potentially a 50% move here with this pattern completion. So one to keep an eye on for sure.
I'm going to go ahead and take this as an opportunity to disagree with you. And I think that's a great illustration. And just by the way, that is my good friend, Big Chonis. I am Big Cheds, for those of you who don't know our voices by now. And please do go ahead and hit that thumbs up button as well. It will help for the search results later. I'm just going to disagree on TRX because I'm looking at the BTC pair. I think that USD value is going up because Bitcoin is going up. But what I see here on TRX is I see a prolonged downtrend. I see the bears are squarely in control. We see the oscillators resetting. We see this series of lower highs. Stochastics RSI is getting ready to turn back down. We've already had our profit-taking candle.
Are we on lower highs? Looks like we're about to test that right now.
This right here, it's going to go lower high.
Oh, I mean on the price action though.
Yeah, I'm looking at price and the oscillator. Because look, OBV is ultra weak. RSI has already had its run. It's going to hit its resistance. You have the lower highs.
Volume bar today though.
Yeah, it's a nice volume. But if you look into the 4-hour chart, you have that 3 inside down. You have a little bit of a, kind of a morning, kind of an evening star. And you've got, I just think you're going to see until proven otherwise. Look, you have to assume that whatever force is in power is going to continue. The bears are in control. Like the onus is on the bulls to show me more than this, to show me that there's going to be some kind of reversal.
I keep seeing bounces on your EMAs. I mean, isn't that a support? What's that blue line there that the price action bounced off of?
That is so you have one bounce off of the 200 period simple moving average. You have, however, the price thrice unable to close up or sustain a close above the EMA 34. You see the 8 EMA is squarely below the 34 EMA. Bears are still in control until you cross over, until you're closing above this EMA 34. Like bulls are not in control of this chart. I mean, that's not debatable. The question is it reversing it? And I'm not convinced yet.
I think it's right there, and I don't see that it's. Again, my whole thing was this is one to keep an eye on because just as the neckline resistance is being tested, your near-term resistance Satoshi-wise is also. And what we're watching for is that bullish divergence in relation to Bitcoin.
I just in any case, so I'm glad that's an opportunity to disagree. We may have some support down at 500, but I think we're going to test that again. Looks like it was rejected. That is my take on TRX. We gave you 2 different looks at it. 2 different takes at it. So whichever one was wrong, we're going to come back and delete this portion of the video. That way there'll be no record. I'm going to take a look at BNB. I mean, it was on a super mega run, but look at that bear break, right? I have this level marked out when the price initially was had kind of a triple top here. Big Chonis, March 7th, the 12th, and later 15th, 16th, we found support right at that 35K level. Looks like we lost that key support. What does that mean? We're going to be coming lower somewhere to around that 30K level. So I think we're going to see about a 10% drop here in BNB. Probably will correspond with some type of a sub 30 RSI dip. What are your thoughts on that? Do you see it differently than I do?
Can you go to the or just the wider chart over the past few months if you could?
Yeah.
Because there's something very interesting about the way that this has progressed. This is a bullish tear, okay, that could be something that may happen with Bitcoin, and the what are not may happen, but this kind of bullishness, kind of accumulation of value in such a new coin, this move, which reminds me kind of almost of Ethereum of a few years ago, basically starting from cents, from pennies, right? And just never giving it up, continuing to put in massive moves and massive moves. Now, this particular correction does feel a little more of a rounded top than some of the other ones here, okay, which is notable. But that line you've drawn there of key historic support, that would be a buy zone if we get to test that on the rising diagonal. And
26K, 26, 27.
Wherever it does tend to hit it. Because for now, we're seeing the price wants to retest supports. And that area that you're drawing does coincide with not just the diagonal support, but that horizontal support of that bull breakout of that previous high. So this one, that's where the battle is. You hit that high there, you bounce off that, you maintain that. And we're definitely talking about the continuation of this. This is a very special coin. This is going to be a coin that will be part of the top 10, top 15. It feels as we head into this potential next cycle of the market.
It's special, just like you at Big Chonis.
Oh, Cheds.
I'm going to do XRP BTC. XRP BTC. I'm going to go back to a 12-hour chart, my preferred time frame. XRP continues to look incredibly weak. I know some are playing the USD chart. I think that's kind of suicide when you have a BTC chart looking this bearish. You have bears continually projecting higher prices. Let's get in a little bit closer. Look at this. Look at this OBV, Big Chonis. Right? What do you got? What do you think in XRP here, huh?
Well, the biggest thing that XRP has to deal with is there's so much of it out there. This is a coin that has a tremendous float, if you will. And because of that, it takes a tremendous amount of money flow to move this significantly. Now, we did have a bounce a couple days ago, and that just felt more of like a overall crypto market bounce. It was a lagger. It definitely had a nice, intraday, about a 10-12% move there. But I agree with you. The BTC pairing continues to not have the good pattern setups that we've seen on some of these other altcoins.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like if you want to play the USD, I feel like you're playing with fire here because of how bearish the BTC chart is. I think people are getting rid of XRP right now while Bitcoin is bullish. I mean, you can make an argument there's bullish divergence, but it's on kind of it's not as important with the OBV. The OBV is showing you if people are accumulating or distributing it.
Right. Yeah, this is looking more distributive.
Yes, 100%. I mean, straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, all you can really say is, in these times where there's this blood in the streets looking chart, these can be those opportunities with a good risk versus reward. But as you said, it's one of those things where because you're just not seeing the strengths in the OBV, that does remain a little suspect.
We're going to do one more for our friends, and we're going to wrap it up. We'll take a look at ZRX. Quite a few of you have asked for ZRX, the 0x project. I see there's still a nice amount of accumulation. The OBV is strong. What we're hoping to do here in the broader picture, obviously after this prolonged downtrend, at Big Chonis, after this prolonged downtrend, you can see, we're looking for support, and we may have found it, right? So we may have found it. We had a little bit of a, a double bottom, if you will, and now we have a higher low. So the name of the game, step one, is to maintain higher lows. Is that right, Big Chonis?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the BTC pairing does not look that good, does it?
I mean, it's okay. Look, if you can hold support here, it's fine. We have the inverted hammer, which is okay, but it probably will test a little bit lower. But this is the support you really need to hold, 65.
Yeah, I mean, to think we were at almost 8,000 Satoshi when we had that bullish April 1st, and we're down to the 6,600s here. Yeah. The USD has fared better because Bitcoin's been strong. So
yeah, right, exactly.
But it's this clear example, Cheds, where you're not seeing the consistency or the bullish divergence like we've seen in some other coins. Now, because we're retesting this key area, I agree this would be an ideal area you could argue to hold. on that BTC pairing, as you pointed out. But again, if we lose that high or low, right, then that would definitely be a little suspect, and it would be kind of a warning sign that even though the USD is holding up, if Bitcoin does make that divergence move, this one might not hold up as good.
Hey, we're getting close. Maybe perhaps a tiny leg down. You'd have kind of oscillators fully reset, maybe an RSI right at 30, and just look at how little was lost in the OBV on this move down. You see what I'm saying? Like this is a pretty good candlestick move down, even like a Fibonacci retracement, but there was not much distribution in that move down, which suggests to me you have a good chance of holding support. Kind of would be, what I take away from that.
Sure.
So just to remind everybody, and I am on Twitter. I am at Big Cheds. You can find me on YouTube at Cheds Trading. That was the one, the only, the crypto mentor at Big Chonis, who's on YouTube at Chonis Trading. Did you just want to give a quick little final pitch on your one-on-one mentoring, Big Chonis?
Yeah, definitely please feel to reach out if you're a newer trader and wants to get just a little stronger in your trading techniques and what you're looking for in the charts. And please remember to hit that thumbs up button there. Get 116 of our closest friends currently watching us right now. Let's get 116 thumbs up if we could. And Cheds, this was fun. We should do this again sometime.
I appreciate it. So what is it? At Big Chonis? I'm sorry, bigchonis.com or chonistrading.com. That's where
chonistrading.com. Absolutely. Come check it out. And please feel free to reach out there if you have any interest in my mentoring.
Beautiful. And of course, I'm one of the founding analysts at Bitcoin Live, the best-in-class educational platform for crypto, where my good friend Big Chonis is a featured contributor. I personally put out timely alerts. I do market wrap up throughout the week, reviewing the major coins, whatever alerts are in play. One of my favorite segments is where I teach you how. It's called "Let Me Teach You How to Fish," and I go through my entire watch list. And my goal there is to teach you my method. I talk about what I'm looking for as I'm scanning for plays. I'm really trying to get in depth and teach you that way. I also have,
as well as how to fish, right?
As well as how to fish, which I'm still learning, and gardening. And there's a whole series on Japanese candlestick analysis, several articles on trading psychology. I'm working on another one right now. It should be out pretty soon. Please do check out my webinar on YouTube to take a look if you have any questions of why I'm involved. I'm very proud of my involvement. And recently we have added a monthly and a quarterly option for you to try out the platform before committing for a full year, which is the best deal. You can find the sign-up link in this video as well. And with that, it's just a great pleasure to have you.
Is there anything else that just happened recently you wanted to?
Well, if you want to check it out, I did a segment on CNBC Africa's Crypto Trader with my good friend Crypto Rand. With Rand Nooner, and I always Crypto Rand with Rand Nooner, and I'm really proud of it. I think you guys should definitely check it out. It's on all over my Twitter feed. I'm pretty sure everyone's seen it. I've been spamming it all day. I apologize.
No, it was great. You did excellent. It was really informative, and I think what was so cool about it is that just the whole exposure of crypto. This is a great opportunity to get this out into more of a mainstream audience. So it was great to see.
Awesome. I really appreciate it, everybody. Thank you for joining here tonight. And hopefully we'll get around to doing another show here in the near future.
Absolutely.
Everybody take care. Big Cheds out.
Peace out.